Hey guys, just finished watching Cloak and Dagger, Season 1, Episode 3, Stained Glass. Wow, what an episode. I mean, I really love this show so far. I wasn't sure about getting into this show when it started and the idea of it came out. I was like, okay, cool, Cloak and Dagger, that'll be an interesting idea. And then when they casted the younger cast, I was like, okay, cool, we'll see where things go. But I was never really super excited for it, and then the trailer came out, and it got me a little more intrigued and stuff, and now that I've been to episode 3, oh my god, this is such a good show. I really do put it on the level of Netflix. I would say it's definitely better than Iron Fist so far. I like it more than Iron Fist. Do I like it more than Luke Cage and stuff? Maybe not. Probably, I definitely prefer obviously Daredevil over that, just because it's a little bit more actiony and more just a lot more cool combat and stuff in Daredevil, especially even at this point, even in the first episode, you start right off with some action, and there's some fighting going on all in this. And this is just getting a little bit slow, but it looks like they're getting a bit faster into the whole getting their powers and stuff. Since it looks like they only have 10 episodes here on IMDb, it looks like it's going to be pretty cool that they're going to really jump into it. They're kind of ramping it up so far in this episode, and then we'll get to it by next episode. They're kind of in another big step towards becoming Cloak and Dagger. So I think it's really going to be cool to see where things go here. So let's start off with the first part. We jump right into it, right from where we left off in last episode, when Tyrone was trying to shoot the O'Connors, the guy who shot his brother Billy, and he tries to shoot him, but he disappears, ends up teleporting, and ends up shooting. Where it looked like he was shot, Tandy, but he actually just ends up shooting her, and she, shoots the car type thing, and we don't really see where he hits, but he doesn't even hit her. She crashes the car, and she kind of just takes off and drives away. And then we see Detective O'Reilly questioning Rick. Rick is actually the detective. We see Rick is actually the guy who attempted to rape Tandy after she robbed him in the first or second episode. She met him at the bar and then kind of seduced him, went back to his place and robbed him of all his stuff. And then she accidentally stabbed him when he tried to rape her in the back alley and stuff. And so she tries to question Rick, and because he attempted rape, he kind of didn't really, he wasn't really cooperative to that at all. And she's questioning him about the scratches on his face, and the fact that, why did he have his pants down when the medics found him and all that stuff. And he wasn't really cooperative at all, since he mentions that he has an uncle in the police, high up in the police department. So he doesn't really say anything to that. And then O'Reilly ends up stopping by Tandy's mother's place, looking for Tandy. Tandy's actually there, but her mother doesn't let her know, and her boyfriend is there, who's a lawyer, and they just don't let her in type thing at all. Tandy has a flashback with young Tyrone. She goes onto the bus, and she wakes up, and everyone's gone. She gets out, and young Tyrone is there. Tyrone talks to Billy. We get back from the car crash, and we get it from his side now, and then we see he goes to the church and tries to talk to Billy to see what's going on. And that's when what's her name, Evita, ends up offering him to come to her job, where she does like a spiritual tour guide type thing. And she says she has a reference for true believers, which is kind of nice there. Nice little reference there. And then Evita is introducing her to her aunt, who is a card reader and practices voodoo. So that is quite interesting seeing that there. There's a bit of a thing at the end that kind of suggests to me that she might be the villain for this, but when I googled it I couldn't really find out anything about her. Putting in her name into Wikipedia, nothing really comes up with her as a villain, and I'm not really sure. And I tried to look up even lists of Cloak and Dagger villains, and I really didn't find any. So I don't know if this is going to be an original character for the show. It looks like it might be, because that's all that comes up is stuff for the cinematic universe for the show. But we'll have to wait and see where things go with this, and for her aunt, and how that kind of comes back if she ends up becoming a villain for the season. That it could be cool, rather than just having them versus Roxxon. It could be cool to see them have a Cloak and Dagger fighting Roxxon and a super villain with powers and all that stuff, and that would be really cool to deal with that and playing with that too. So Tyrone ends up trying a voodoo bath. He ends up having a flashback with young Tandy. That's when Tandy ends up having Tyrone's nightmare, and then Tyrone ends up having Tandy's nightmare as flashbacks to them as a kid type thing. And they start seeing all kinds of stuff. Tandy ends up seeing Tyrone, dealing with the Detective O'Connors and the fallout of that and all that different stuff, until they end up using their own powers to stop each other inside of their nightmares type thing. And that is really cool, seeing that, and they're kind of getting an idea, slowly building up how to use their powers. So it's kind of getting an idea. They don't really get it yet how to actually control them, but it looks like it's coming out a little bit more when things kind of when their emotions kind of build up. So that would really be cool to see that. Now in the comic books, from what the things I've watched on YouTube and things like that, for them it sounds like they Tandy kind of she has to feed Cloak her light daggers type thing. Otherwise, he gets overwhelmed with the dark dimension that he connects that allows him to teleport, which he ends up actually kind of like Nightcrawler, where he teleports, goes into another dimension, and comes out our end, but he's only gone there for like a little bit, right? So hopefully they'll end up playing with that. That'll be cool to see how they do that on this show with whatever kind of budget they have here. But it looks good so far. The budget, obviously, there's really very little special effects, so we'll have to wait and see if we end up going straight up to that dark dimension or not. But it'll be cool to see that. And in the comic books, if Tandy doesn't feed him, not only does he go crazy, but she ends up having to overcharge. She ends up having to dispel her powers unwillingly. So if she doesn't use her powers too much, it's going to just start going off on its own. And I think that's really going to be cool to play with that, and you having that be maybe that can be the thing that happens in the next episode to force them to start learning how to use it on their own, because at this point they haven't really yet tried to they've trying to use their powers on their own, but they haven't really got the hang of it yet, or even got an idea of how to use it on their own. So hopefully we can do that, and we can kickstart them into using their powers and knowing how to use it, and start letting them how to use it, because at this point we're going to be episode 5 before they even have an idea of how to even start their powers, without being in the worst possible situation. So hopefully we can do that, and hopefully they don't wait until the last episode before they can use their powers, and they can control their powers at will, or even just request their powers even without controlling them, but just like activate their powers without full on control. Hopefully we can do that next week's episode and not wait to the end of the season, because that would be kind of disappointing for that. But so far I really like where things are going. But they're in the dream, and they're in the nightmare, and they end up touching through the stained glass, and that's when they both wake up from the dream type thing. So that'll be really cool to see that, and they both get an idea that now they need to get together, need to be there's something about each other that they need to be together type thing, and they're connected somehow. Now they really have an idea of that, so that'll be cool to see where that goes in next episode. O'Connor's ends up giving O'Reilly Rick's ID, Rick the guy who tried to rape Tandy, and says that the case is closed. And then she gets a call from Tandy, and they end up meeting, but she says she just says sorry. So we don't really see what the conversation is between Tandy and O'Reilly. Assumingly she maybe confessed to everything. Did she confess to robbing him? What did she confess to? I feel like if she did, then she might. Who knows where this whole situation hid? Did O'Reilly say, yeah, you did, you're in the wrong, he's in the wrong, let's just call it what it is, so that no one goes to jail, and everything can just take it as a mistake as to what it is type thing, and everyone can just move on. So who knows where things are going to go with that. I'm assuming that she knows the whole thing, but it would have been nice to just get an idea as to what's really going on. Maybe even just a quick, maybe Tandy's already told everything, and then maybe we could have got her just kind of rhyming it off. So you broke it to him, he tried to rape you, and then now the case is closed type thing. So it sounds like we could have just got her saying that, like a one-liner saying that, okay, it looks like it's even and everything's all good, but I'll keep you safe type thing. The case is closed. So I don't know, it's going to be cool to see where things go with that. And if Rick going to go back after Tandy, how is that going to work? Hopefully we get to see that, and we get to see maybe Tyrone showing up and having to use it on his own type thing. That could be a cool idea to actually activate his powers on his own, rather than kind of if Rick shows up, I don't see him showing up with a gun or anything like that, but I could see him trying to beat on her, and kind of Tyrone she doesn't want to stab him type of thing again, and kill him. But yet, I think it'd be cool to see Tyrone kind of using his powers and trying to use it on Will, rather than a real life and death situation. So a situation where he needs to get away, but not really as life and death as, about to be shot by Connors like it was in the last episode 2. So yeah, we'll see where things go with that. And then again at the end, we end with Angela Davis. That 3D printer that was going on throughout this whole episode was actually making a 3D version of Tyrone. So it looks like that's going to be, maybe she's trying to make some sort of voodoo for Cloak, and that'll be cool to see where things go with that. And she ends up being some sort of voodoo villain. I googled it and I can't see anything about any voodoo villains for Cloak and Dagger. Again, we can find a list of villains for Cloak and Dagger, so it'd be cool to see who she is and if she ends up being someone. I know there's Brother Voodoo from the comic books, but that's not really a Cloak and Dagger villain, so we'll have to wait and see where things go with that, and if they get another villain other than, so far the only villain is Roxxon, but it's more of a Tandy villain than it is more of a Cloak and a Dagger villain, Tandy villain, than it is for, and it is going to be a villain for actually for Tyrone, unless they end up being some sort of connection with O'Connor's, connected to Roxxon Corporation. So we'll have to wait and see where things go with all this, but it definitely is really interesting to see, and I really liked where they're going and how they're playing with this show. Everything about it is just so well done, and it's just a really great show. I was skeptical to see where things are going to go, especially on the ABC Freeform network. I did hear things that, they being a cheaper network and stuff, but they've managed to pull this off, and it does not look cheap whatsoever. Although there's not much things going on here. There's not much CGI really at play yet. So hopefully we get to see where things go with that, and if we get to jump into a dark dimension or something, it could be cool to see where things go with this. And I think it would be interesting to see if the show, if it is on a smaller network, and it didn't have enough of, it got a lot of, I'm not sure what the ratings are right now, but if it got a lot of ratings, could it get bumped up to another network and then get a bigger budget type thing? I think that could be really cool, seeing that if it really worked out, because it'd be cool to see where things go with this and how things kind of go with Cloak's powers in the comic books, being him entering the dark dimension, if I'm not mistaken, and that would be cool to see. If they get to see that. I feel like on this network we might not get to see that, because so far it looks like there's not too much CGI involved that's really complicated like that, and entering that would definitely be CGI heavy, but who knows, they could find a way to do it on here with the way the budget is. I think it could kind of work, and I could trust these guys because it looks like a great show. We'll see where things go with that. So let me know what you think, guys, about this in the comments below. Where do you think things are going? Do you think Angela Davis is going to be some sort of voodoo villain? And if you have any ideas which villain in the comic books she could be, let me know what you think in the comments below. Or if you think it could be an original character, that would be cool too. But it would be cool to stick a little bit more to the comic books and stuff, since it's not really too old of a show. It's not like the villains would be too crazy out there, or someone like Jessica Jones, who only has Kilgrave as a villain. It would have, they've been around since 1982, so they should have a couple of villains out there. So we'll have to wait and see where things go with this, and maybe later on down the future, this show could also cross over with the Runaways, since they did become part of the Runaways in the comic books. So we'll have to wait and see where things go with this. But they also were part of the X-Men, and that definitely won't happen anytime soon. So we'll have to wait and see where things go with all this. So let me know what you think, guys, about this show in the comments below. Where do you think things are going with this, and how do you like it so far? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.